Hi and welcome back to the Freese Watches channel. This week I'm going to be talking about watch movements. It took us a while to decide what movement we were going to use when we started making watches. In an ideal world, we'd make everything ourselves. We'd make the movement ourselves, the case, the dial, the hands, the whole lot. And maybe one day we'll get there. But at the moment, as far as movements are concerned, if we want to produce a watch at a price that is accessible to most people, we have to use a movement that we've bought in. And the movement that we use is made by Sellita. It's the SW200. So what I wanted to do today was to talk through some of the choices that we had to make for this movement and why we chose to use it. I've also got an SW200 movement here that I can show you on the bench, so we'll go and look at that in a moment. So first of all, why did we choose this movement? Well, first thing we wanted to do was to produce a watch with an automatic movement. The automatic movement is a great thing for convenience. We also produce the Freese 53, which has a manually wound movement as well. But for our automatic watch, we use this movement because I have found in my 20 years of repairing watches this to be one of the most reliable movements that I've come across. Movement design is quite an interesting subject and something I'll just sort of quickly skip over here. Back in the 1960s, when watches had a reasonable height to them, movement manufacturers were able to make a movement with a reasonable amount of sort of physical presence for the movement. But in the 1970s, watch design started to dictate the way that the movement looked, and the watch movements were designed to be slimmed down. And this was often used by companies like Audemars Piguet to make exceptionally slim movements, which are now valued in their own right as feats of engineering. But what I was interested in doing was to use a movement that's going to be as reliable as possible and something that's going to have as few faults as possible, and also a movement that is easily accessible for parts if it's repaired by a third party. As someone who's repaired watches for a long time, from most of my working career, these things are quite important to me. So what I decided to do was to go with an ETA 2824 movement, and the reason for that is that this movement is quite sturdy, it's quite durable, and I've found that the winding mechanism is good, the way it winds automatically is good. I haven't had that many problems with that movement in the past. So I've got a movement here I'm going to show you in a moment, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But my main reason for using it was just simply because of the longevity and because of the fact that it's a good movement that can be serviced in by third parties, and that hopefully everyone is able to continue to maintain these watches and keep them going into the future. So what we'll do then, we'll get over to the bench and we'll have a look at the movement I've got out here, and I can show you the movement that we use and talk a little bit about the features that I like about it. Okay, so here we have the SW200 movement. I'm just going to go through a few things that I like about it. As you can see, it is an attractive movement. It has a nice plated finish to it. Admittedly this is an undecorated movement, and decorating movements is a very expensive thing to do, so we obviously just go with the existing finish. So the first thing to mention is the rotor. The rotor has a nice weight to it, and it runs on a track of ball bearings. It's not so heavy that we tend to find too much wear in this area, which you can get with larger rotors, and it also tends to work very effectively. When it moves backwards and forwards, it moves these two reverser wheels here, which in turn send that movement through to the mainspring, and that's how it works. But we found that automatically, no problems at all with the way they work. The automatic part of the movement is very reliable. Next thing to show you is the balance here. When these come out of the factory, they have a fairly high tolerance. It's 15 seconds a day. But what we're able to do, because we make our watches individually, we're able to use the Essicron system, which is fitted to the top of the balance cock here, to get a very close regulation, more like a chronometer specification, less than 6 seconds a day, and we can do that by there's a micro regulator here on the side, but the Essicron system here allows you to adjust the position of the hairspring in relation to the curb pins. That's the part that they run through here for the regulation. So that's another feature that we like about this movement. I'm just going to push the rotor down. Just going to show you some other parts up here. So at the top here you'll see you have a crown wheel. So this is the wheel that directly engages via another wheel with the stem. So when you wind the watch, this wheel here turns. Always found with automatic watches that quite often when they're wound manually, they can get a lot of wear as the wheels are all turned by the crown. With the ETA 2824 we have found that the wear isn't too bad. It does tend to hold up really well, and I think it's largely to do with the large physical presence of this wheel here which is a really good physical size and is able to take the strong lateral force that comes from the crown when the watch is wound. Just going to turn the movements over now and show you a couple of other things on the other side. You have a nice sturdy keyless system here. So the keyless work is the part that allows you to pull the crown in and out to set the time, wind the watch and so on. And these components are really sturdy, so we found them to have good longevity, and that's something that I'm obviously very keen on in making sure that the movement that we fit is a strong, durable movement. I found that over and above the ETA 2892, that's the high grade movement, we found these to be really good. So the other things I can show you on here, the barrel itself is under this part, and this is a jewel supporting the barrel arbor. It's nice to have a jewel here. It's not something you see on all movements, but it does certainly support the barrel well, where you have a lot of force. All the force from the winding of the watch that goes and is held in the barrel is resting on this part here, on this arbor. So it's nice to have a jewel there. And you'll also see the large physical side of the first wheel and the train here that runs next to the barrel and the barrel arbor. So yeah, I think it's a really good movement. We've in the watches that we have made, I'm quite proud to say that we haven't had any mechanical failure yet on these movements. I was really pleased to note this. We've made about 100 watches with this movement now, and no mechanical faults so far. So thumbs up to Sellita for making this really good movements, and we're really sort of proud to be using it in our watches. Well, thanks everyone for sticking with me during the video. I really appreciate the fact that we've had more subscribers in the last week or two. We've had comments, and it's really nice to engage with people using YouTube as a medium. It's been really good for us so far, and we're hoping to continue to do this in the future. So thanks again for everyone for watching. Please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe and the bell so you get notifications. We do weekly videos, they come out every Friday, and we're hoping that as we go on, we'll be able to interact more with you, we can find out what you want us to do, and we can produce as much information as possible about watchmaking and about the watches that we make. So thanks again, and bye for now.